mikol chayei ha'olam hazeh.
Because spirituality is answering why, is it not? That's why we're studying, to understand why.
All right, we'll understand why. Isn't this a paradox?
Yes.
If I read this, it's not clear to me which is more important.
They both are.
The world to come or this world? Do I give primacy here or there? The two, according to Rabbi Yaakov here, seem to stand in relationship to each other. And both are equally important in their own right. It is not either or, it is both and. We don't say this world is more important than that world, or that world is more important than this world. In other words, we're not in any hurry to get to the next world. We're very happy right here, thank you very much. But once we're there, back home, I imagine it'll be a nice experience to sit and study. I envision it not only as a yeshiva, but a great library with no overdue fines. You get to sit and take the book, and you can sit with it as long as you like, you know. So the rabbis, unlike the early Christians, never emphasized a post-mortem existence, unlike the Christians, over this existence. We do not in Judaism find a craving for death, as in early Christianity. We don't find a yearning for death. And we don't find a denial of the importance of this life in Judaism as opposed to Christianity, which denies the importance of this life in favor of the world to come. So, for the rabbis, life here is to be lived fully and to be appreciated fully, because it is here that we can serve God through fulfilling the commandments. That's why we live fully and appreciate this. We can fulfill God's commandments here, the mitzvot. So this should inspire us to be ethical. We should concentrate on study, on prayer, on good deeds, so that we can merit Olam Haba, the world to come. Yes, this is how we get into the world to come. It's not through grace. It's not on a silver platter because you believe. You're entering Olam Haba by what you have done and not done. That's why, as I've told you many times, when I open the door and I see two young men in white shirts, very clean-cut young men standing there with a black book and a little briefcase, I know that they're not Jewish.
That's right. They don't have a pushkin.
Because they're there to get me to change my what? Belief. In order to save me to get to heaven. They're here for my salvation. They don't care about what I do. Now in Judaism, I don't knock on doors and say, what do you believe? And hand them a pamphlet, which I accept graciously, but then, okay. Because I'm not interested in what people believe. Because that's not the e-ticket to heaven. I'm dating myself.
You still have some.
The e-ticket.
Disneyland, yeah.
That's not the e-ticket. The e-ticket are your deeds, and therefore, people of any belief can go to heaven as long as their actions were righteous and just. We are very inclusive about heaven, as opposed to others who are exclusive about heaven. People who say to me that the only way you can go to heaven, the only way you can go to the Father is through the Son, the only way, are excluding me. Because I don't believe in the Son of God. Therefore, I'm going south while they're going north. But we say it is what you do, and therefore you can be Christian, you can be anything. Your belief is irrelevant, as long as you believe in God, by the way. That's the one foundation. But however you believe in God or picture God or whatever you think, it's your deeds by which we judge people, not by their beliefs. Yes.
Well, we're talking a big emphasis on deeds, of course, but again, the Torah is there for the purpose of character development. So isn't it, it's not the quantity of deeds, but it's the quality of the character that results from the deeds, is it not?
Well, I imagine it's the quality of the character and deeds,
As demonstrated.
although I'm not yet willing to say, I'm not willing to rule out quantity.
Well, it's an inductive proof. You could never deductively prove that you've got good character. You just have to keep doing deed after
That's
deed
right.
after deed.
That's
to
right.
show that you're consistent pattern of behavior.
That's right. Yes.
Isn't it about how long you spend in the way station as to how you practiced in your life? Everybody, almost everybody gets there, but it's different times that you had, and they say the righteous spend much less time in the way station than the rest of us.
Yes. And we'll talk about the way station maybe next time when we talk about Gehenna. You're introducing a lot of my material here this morning. Thank you. We're on the same
Sneak
wavelength.
previews.
But there is a way station.
Yes.
Yes, we'll talk about that. Yes.
When I do a good deed for someone, I think I'm kind of selfish, because what it does inside of me
Yeah.
is probably more than what I've done for that person.
Well, the important thing is that the deed be done. Not, your feelings aren't the most important part, although we try to build our character to such a point that we do good because it is good.
Instinctively.
Not because I will feel a certain way, and not because I will get into heaven, and not because, but because I do good because it's good, and God commanded me to do so. That's it. It's good enough for God, it's good enough for me. It's called a commandment. It's not a suggestion. It's not a hint. It's not pretty please. It's you shall, and you shall not. So here, let's look at what we can do. Look at number 3 on the handout sheet. Does it say Brachot 28b, number 3? Story is told about the 2nd century Rabbi Eliezer, who was asked by his students. Now, by the way, Eliezer is a Tana. You remember this, some of you? The difference between I'm going to get this, a Tana and an Amora. A Tana is a teacher of the Mishnaic time. The immediate centuries before and after the Common Era. A couple centuries before 0, a couple centuries after 0. Those rabbis of the Mishnah are called Tanaim. Singular Tana means teacher in Aramaic. The rabbis who come after the Tanaim, the rabbis of the Talmudic period, 4th, 5th, 6th century CE, are called Amoraim, singular Amora, expounders. Rabbi Eliezer is a Tana. He's in the 2nd century. He's a rabbi of the Mishnah, the first commentary on the Torah. After the Mishnah, the Talmud comments on the Mishnah. TMT, Torah, Mishnah, Talmud.
613.
Another word for Talmud in Aramaic, Gemara. Gemara, Aramaic. I'm studying Gemara, a blat Gemara, meaning completion. It's the completion of the Mishnah. I hope to reach the day when some of you don't look at me so quizzically like you've never heard this before. Rabbi Eliezer was asked by his students, Master, teach us the ways of life whereby we may become worthy of the world to come. He answered by giving guidelines for ethical life. Number one, be careful of the honor of your colleagues. Restrain your children from meaningless recitation. Seat them between the knees of the disciples of the sages. And when you pray, know before whom you stand. And on account of that, you will be worthy of life in the world to come. So this, according to Rabbi Eliezer, the important part of this quotation is the acknowledgement and the awareness that one day we will come to stand before God, before the Kisei Hagadol. Dal lifnei me'ata omed. Know before whom you stand. So we will one day be accountable. Now, open Pirkei Avot again. Let's go back. Let me see where this is. Just at the top of page 66. It's the second line of Hebrew. Rabbi Yaakov Omer ha'olam hazeh domeh lifrozdor bifnei ha'olam haba. This world is like a corridor, or a vestibule, or a foyer, or a lobby, or in Hebrew, lobby.
So just like
I'll meet you in the lobby. Hatkein atzmecha bafrozdor, kedei shetikanes latraklim. Prepare yourself in the corridor so that you may enter the banquet hall.
Often schools are called prosdor, the class is called prosdor.
Prosdor,
Yeah, for a young
like an introductory class.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is the world of preparation. This is the antechamber.
Vorspeise.
The Vorspeise, the banqueting hall is up there. Now, it just reminds me, when we talk about a completely spiritualized, ethereal, soul, non-physical existence in heaven, so many times the rabbis tell us that we will be dining in Olam Haba on the Leviosan, on the Leviathan, on this great gefilte fish. I don't know, it's a great fish.
without the jelly.
Without that aspic jelly. It'll be in water. We're dining, you know about that? Anybody heard of this? Anybody? No. Ask Rabbi Berkowitz what we'll be eating in heaven. He'll tell you the menu. I hope you like fish. All right. It's called, and Hobbes took the name for his Leviathan. Maybe you remember Philosophy and Economics 101. From Leviathan, this great fish that has been preserved from creation. And then there's Shor Habor, this great meat, not for vegetarians thing. I guess you could have the fish. Who had the fish? You put a little place card by your. Yeah.
And isn't it to be served on golden plates?
Of course. Listen, but
Boudin?
They're gonna put Leviathan